1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, check 1, 2. Here we go. Welcome to episode 5 of the Catalyst Podcast. You can find Catalyst at Facebook. It's Catalyst Motivation. On YouTube at Catalyst Motivation 561. And on Instagram at Catalyst Motivation 561. Catalyst has the power to change or create change. And we hope this podcast will do just that. We'll be talking about that catalyst, that turning point, the journey, the lesson, and beyond. And again, welcome to episode 5. My name is Jason. Let's continue on. The last thing we talked about was getting the scans, the biopsies, have them draining my right lung, the relief of that. Also had and by the way, unedited, raw, real, and one take. We're doing stream of consciousness here. We don't care about the mistakes. That's what makes us human. So it's we were talking about some of the pieces that I had to go through for the first time. I never had anything pierce my body other than a needle. I never had a biopsy before. Was never in a hospital before. In 49 years of my life, I was never in. Had to stay overnight in a hospital. And here I was doing all these things, getting my right lung drained, doing the biopsies, the scans, going into a CAT scan and a CT scan, putting an Iron Man face helmet on. And if anybody's ever done any of those things, they know how small and confined a space that is. In 2019, I was 6'2" and about almost 300 pounds, about 298, somewhere around there. So, big man in a little space. I could have freaked out because you have to be in there for a while. But my thought process was, let's just go through it. Let's see what this is about. Experience this. You've never experienced before. Let's see what we can do. And I would kind of close my eyes and go into a meditative state and try to be as calm as possible, and went through those things. A couple of interesting things we found out about that at that point in time. The plaque. Everybody has plaque on their brain. The plaque that was on my brain was the plaque of an 86-year-old man. And the reason being is this mass was on my chest and was surrounding my esophagus and my heart arteries, and was causing a lot of stuff. There was a lot of extra things going on in my body, and there wasn't enough space for it to be done. And they did the scans, they did the test. On Tuesday, those were all done over the weekend and on Monday. On Tuesday, I remember I was having dinner. My ex my ex, and my son just left, and the doctor came in. Now, my first doctor was this Indian doctor who, honestly, God, I am as straight of a man as a straight man can be, and we'll get into my radio days, because that always wasn't the case that was thought of about me. But this man was beautiful. I remember when my ex saw him, she went, "Oh my God." Like right in front of him. He was a very, very attractive man. He came in, and, you always think, you have these conversations every now and again. You have those, late night drinking sessions, and What do you think it would be like if this happened or that happened? And inevitably, if you heard about the C word, cancer, how would you react? What level was it? Things like that. And when it happened to me, I just remember I didn't react. I didn't have a reaction to it. Like I didn't, my heart didn't sink. I didn't start to cry. I didn't like, I was just, everything kind of became clear. It was like for this past year and a half, I was in a fog. And when he made the announcement that I have cancer, all the clouds kind of disappeared. And I was more focused than I ever was in my life. And the next thing I said after he made that announcement was, well, okay, what's our options? And he told me one was surgery. There was another option. I don't know if it was a stem cell option. And then the other one was chemo. His suggestion was, because of where it was and how big the mass was, I mean, it was all over the right side of my chest, part of the left around my esophagus, and then there was some sporadic things like my lymph nodes. So on my shoulders, on my arms, things like that. He said chemo was going to be the best. It was going to be aggressive chemo. The kind of chemo that it would kill a horse with. So I remember I had to make that call and tell my ex, but then tell my son. That was a challenging moment. A very, very, very challenging moment. I remember, I told him, Daddy's sick. Daddy's going to be doing some things to get himself better. Daddy, you're going to see a lot of things happen to Daddy that you're going to be curious about. If Daddy ever gets mad, Daddy tells you, right? Right? If Daddy is ever sad, he tells you, right? If Daddy's ever in pain, he tells you, right? So, right now, Daddy's sick. But is Daddy going to get better? And is Daddy going to be good? Yeah. And I tried to be as positive with him as possible. It was. I was just. It's so weird because I remember seeing there's been some cancer in my family, and one of the most tragic ones I saw was my Aunt Margaret, and I remember she was for one part of her life, she was at home with some of my relatives, and I remember they had a bed in the living room where she stayed, and she had gone through chemo and all that, and remember one night we were there, parents were playing cards and everything, and she sat up like, like Dracula sits up in a coffin, and she opened her mouth and blood started coming out, and that was that was one of my memories of cancer. And when they were talking about chemo, that's what I thought was going to happen. I think I was just trying to get myself mentally prepared for it. But I was asking the doctor, is there anything I need to do? And he says, well, number one, he goes, you definitely need to go keto. And I was like, what's that? And he tells me what keto is. And he explains to me what I can't eat. And being raised in an Italian family, my heart sank. But, I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And he gave me a program. He also told me I'm going to have to get back to exercising. And so I did that. I remember after he left, even before then, like the first night I was there, I didn't realize I was in the oncology department that they put me in until he made that announcement. But I remember the first night I was in that hospital, the first overnight stay. I was head to head with a lady, and all I was hearing the entire night was, "Somebody please kill me. Help me, please help me. Please just kill me. I want to die. And it was going on pretty much most of that first night, and it continued on the next couple of nights. And when I got that announcement that I had cancer, the first thing I said is, I am not going to be that woman. I'm not going to be that woman. I am going to do whatever it takes to get rid of this. No matter what. And I just remember just sitting there by myself, which is appropriate because most of my journey through cancer was alone. It really, really was. By my own design, but by the lack of support in some cases. Wow. Just bringing back a lot of feelings and emotions as I talk about this. As I've said before, I've spoken about this with like some friends and family, and kind of doing this kind of retrospective in a way, and documenting this forever. I just got a real rush of emotion. It's unbelievable. But let's continue on. So here we are. I now have this diagnosis. What are we going to do? We said we were going to go and we were going to do chemo. And this chemo was stuff that would kill an elephant or a whale shark or something like that. It was going to be very, very powerful. And I was going to see tremendous changes. So I prepared myself for it. Again, my images of cancer and chemo are my great aunt Margaret, and I'm thinking the worst, but I'm also thinking I'm going to get healthy, because I remember sitting in my bed and going, if I don't work on getting myself better, I'm going to miss my kid graduate high school, college, get married, have a baby, have a family. I can't do that. So I'm going to listen to the doctor. I'm going to follow him and do whatever I need to do. And that's where we'll leave off. We'll continue on with episode 6, but this was episode 5 of the Catalyst podcast. You can find Catalyst at Facebook at Catalyst Motivation, YouTube at Catalyst Motivation 561, and on Instagram, Catalyst Motivation 561. A catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that this podcast will do that. Again, thank you so much for listening. My name is Jason. I look forward to seeing you on episode 6. Go be great.